confined to, or the SSS, as the case might be. The question is, who defines what is internal security and what will constitute internal security matters? Some people have drawn inference that this could actually be a national security matter when we're looking at how rife corruption is in Nigeria.
On the first point, I'll advise you to wait for the NJC. I used to be on the NJC. I'm not on the NJC anymore. I think they'll be making a statement today, so it will be clear what they did or did not do. But I do know that the NJC has moved against the very same judges that the DSS now has cracked down. That's one. The second question is internal security. Any novice, I mean, it is too simplistic for me to even discuss it. Just like you are a very senior journalist, you know the rules. First, you do not disclose your source. I, as a former intelligence officer, I know the rules. I know the meaning of internal security. The DSS is essentially an intelligence agency with the key function of preventing espionage. When I was at the NIA, we could see them in the U.S. Embassy. The chief of station is the CIA boss. And in some embassies, the chief of station supersedes the ambassador. So let's not argue and quibble. I'm not here to talk about issues when the discussion is uninformed. Internal security refers to intelligence agencies. Unless people now want to say that an intelligence agency can take part in criminal prosecution.
So would this have been okay if it had been carried out by the EFCC?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's their function. It makes a difference. Okay, would it have been good?
If I may.
Yeah.
Mr. Agbakoba, let me quickly have follow-ups to that.
Ask all you want.
You talked about the 5 judges being, you said we should wait for the NJC to, come out today with its final statement. But we did see that 2 judges were dismissed, two or three judges were dismissed last week, Friday. But I think only one of those judges was recommended for prosecution by the NJC. Considering the grievousness, when we look at the fact that one of them was a very senior judge, in fact, the chief judge of a state, considering the seriousness of that, do you think that the NJC dealt with kid gloves, just dealing with it as a dismissal rather than something that needed to be prosecuted by the prosecuting authorities?
It's sub judice. The NJC will speak today, so I'm not going to make a comment that will preempt what they say. So I think it's better to wait to see what they will say than for me to now say what the NJC is going to do when I'm not on the NJC. But as a senior member of the bar, former president, I follow what's going on.
Considering the...
Yeah. Go on.
But, yeah, considering the example we've also seen in terms of how functions tend to overlap and how sometimes, for instance, the military called in. We know that the military is supposed to protect Nigeria's sovereignty and ensure that her borders are well and secure. We're looking at external aggression, but more often than not, we've seen that the military is being deployed into internal security matters. Nobody has gone to contest that. Can we say in this instance that the DSS could have also intervened because if this matter was not handled by, say for instance, if the EFCC were overwhelmed, is it possible that the DSS could have been invited into this matter?
What makes an action lawful or not lawful is the law setting it up. By Section 217 of the Constitution, the functions of the armed forces is defined. When they overstep it as they have done, it is illegal. Forget that no one has said anything about it. When the functions of the DSS is defined by a law and they are within the law, then it's lawful. When they overstep it, then it's unlawful. Period. If a case goes to the magistrate's court that should be going to the high court, you don't say it's lawful because the magistrate assumes jurisdiction. So what you do is given to you by law. So this narrow question is whether the law authorizes the DSS to do what they did or not. That's a narrow question.
Okay, but the DSS also said that they will be charging them to court. So
on what grounds, please?
Well,
even the so-called DSS can only prevent and detect crime. Come on.
What if the AGF now takes over prosecution of the case?
That's different. The AGF has... because one begins to get angry about this. It becomes a lawless country. An agency that doesn't have power to do criminal. Let's not assume that they even have it. Then there's now an inference that they have powers to prosecute. Where did they get it from? The laws are clear. They can detect and prevent. He didn't say prosecute. The police can prosecute because they are given the power. You know, if we push it this way, it will mean that laws mean nothing. Anybody we are sitting in the studio now, you just say there's somebody at the door. Who's that? Some government officer. So, all right, come to the police station.
Okay, so what's the implication of the president nominating two persons to become justice?
There were vacancies. So those vacancies were filled. The FJSC, Federal Judicial Service Commission, will recommend to the NJC. The NJC will look at the nominations, accept it, and then forward the names to the president.
One of the dailies here said today that the presidency orders the NJC to suspend those who have cases.
Absolutely
to
not.
answer.
It's not possible. The NJC is completely independent of the executive. It will be trenching on the powers of the third arm of government, and that will be the day that Nigeria will be in chaos if the president orders the NJC to do anything of the sort you refer to.
What would you then say to those who are of the opinion that both the bar and the bench are not doing enough to stamp out corruption in the judiciary?
I accept that. That is absolutely correct. We have complete legal and judicial failure. And I just hope that this is a wake-up call for all of us. Again, I go back to when I was NBA president. We've been shouting, speed of justice, speed of justice. Well, I had a project called the Speed of Justice. You can't go to court, lawyers block cases, judges are helpless. Using the old Judicature Act of 1873 in the UK, they say that the judges do not descend. That has been thrown away. Judges descend to the arena. A judge will shut a counsel up if he's wasting his time. So, my take home from this is the public has lost confidence in us, and it's a big shame. They've lost confidence in the judiciary and in lawyers, and that's why the opinion is so divided. And I think we in the bar and the judges must wake up and regain the confidence of people, because if there was confidence, even this would not happen. They'll say, oh, NJC can sort it out. But if the NJC itself takes forever, as Mountway was implying, then people will say, well, look, you know what, I tell you this. A typical Nigerian, you remember the tire, burning tire thing in South Africa? What are you talking about? This man has stolen our money. He want to take him to which court? I remember in those days when I used to do a lot of criminal cases, somebody who became IG told me, wasting your time, huh? I know that this guy has killed my boys. I'll shoot him dead. I had an application before the late Justice Kensington to exhume a dead body to prove that police people shot him. And that's when the CLO, when I was president, wrote the book Executive Lawlessness and the Police Rascality. So it's all been there. And that was what led to the new Administrative Justice Act. So we, as lawyers, we must up our game. We must give confidence to the public that we don't just go to court, take money from clients, tie up the cases in court, and nothing happens. Because if you look at the load of cases in court, the truth is that the results have been very poor. I must concede that issue, that we need to up our game.
Okay, that's where we'll anchor this morning. We've been speaking with Mr. Olisa Agbakoba, SAN, the former president of the NBA. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.